All right, let's dive into one of the biggest challenges we face, the absolute mountain of plastic waste that's piling up everywhere. Today, we're going to look at a company, Clean Planet Group, that has a really fascinating and maybe even a little controversial way of tackling this head on. To really get a handle on just how massive this problem is, you only need one number: 90%. That's right. Roughly 90% of all the plastic that has ever been produced has never been recycled. Think about that. It's sitting in our landfills, it's floating in our oceans, it is everywhere. This number tells you loud and clear that what we're doing right now just isn't working. But what if we've been looking at this whole thing the wrong way? What if that mountain of waste isn't just garbage? What if it's actually a resource, just waiting for the right technology to unlock it? That's the big question that sits at the very heart of the solution we're digging into today. Okay, so to really understand what they're doing, we need to get specific. We are not talking about the clean, easy-to-recycle stuff like your water bottles. Nope. We're talking about the really messy, complicated plastics that our current systems just can't handle. So what does hard to recycle actually mean? Well, think about all that flimsy plastic film from the grocery store or those multi-layered food pouches that keep your snacks fresh. Anything that's got food residue on it or is made of a bunch of different types of plastic fused together. Our normal recycling process, where they just kind of melt and reshape plastic, completely chokes on this stuff. So most of the time, it just gets buried or burned. And this is exactly the problem that Clean Planet Group was created to solve. They've built their entire company around one idea: finding value in the exact plastic waste that pretty much everyone else has given up on. And they are not thinking small, not at all. Their mission is to pull over 1 million tons of this difficult plastic out of the environment every single year. That's a huge, ambitious goal, and it tells you they're serious about making a real dent in this on a global scale. And they've moved incredibly fast. They were only founded in 2018, and within a few years, they were already setting up international partnerships. But the real game changer, the moment everyone took notice, was in 2022. They signed a 10-year deal with the energy giant BP. This was massive. It was basically a guarantee from BP to buy everything their first plant could produce. That locked in the revenue and proved their business model was viable. Now, with major awards under their belt and projects in 4 countries, they've got some serious momentum. So the big question is, how do they actually do it? How do you take a grubby plastic shopping bag and magically turn it into something valuable? Well, the answer is some seriously cool chemistry. The technology at the heart of all this is called pyrolysis. Now, the simple way to think about it is this: you heat the plastic up to incredibly high temperatures, but you do it in a container that has no oxygen. So instead of burning, the long chains of molecules that make up the plastic literally unzip. They break back down into their original building blocks, creating a synthetic liquid oil. It's basically chemical recycling on steroids. So inside their eco plants, the whole process is pretty slick. First, they take all that mixed plastic waste and shred it into small pieces. Then, that shredded plastic goes into the pyrolysis reactor and gets turned into that raw oil we just talked about. But, and this is the most important part, they don't stop there. They have their own special process to upgrade that raw oil, using hydrogen to scrub out all the impurities. What comes out the other end is a super clean, upgraded oil that can be turned into high-end fuels or even the raw materials to make new plastics. So why is that upgrading step so critical? Well, because the raw oil that comes out of a basic pyrolysis machine is pretty nasty stuff. It's unstable, it's waxy, it's full of junk. Frankly, it's not worth very much. But after Clean Planet's process, what you get is a premium, stable, incredibly pure product. It's so good it can be a drop-in replacement for fuels made from fossil oil. They are literally turning a low-value waste product into a high-spec, valuable asset. Okay, but having amazing technology is one thing. Turning it into a real global business that can actually scale, that's a whole other challenge. So how is Clean Planet Group making this happen? Their entire strategy is built around smart partnerships. This is not a company that's trying to go it alone. They've got BP lined up to buy their product, which guarantees revenue. They have big investment partners funding the construction of new plants around the world. And just as important, they have organizations like ISCC providing the official sustainability certifications. That stamp of approval is absolutely vital for proving to the market that their products are the real deal. And this strategy means they aren't just relying on one source of income. Sure, most of it comes from selling their final products, the fuels and feedstocks. But they also make money licensing their unique technology to other companies. They get paid tipping fees just for taking the plastic waste in the first place, and they can even earn environmental credits. It's a really smart, diversified model that's built for growth. So, with all this tech and this clever business model, is this the answer? Where does this kind of advanced recycling really fit in the grand scheme of things? Let's zoom out a bit. When you put it side by side with the other options, you can see where it fits. Traditional mechanical recycling, great for clean stuff like water bottles, but useless for messy mixed waste. Incineration, or burning waste for energy? Sure, it gets rid of everything, but it pumps out a lot of CO2 and creates toxic ash. Clean Planet's technology slots perfectly into that gap. It's specifically designed for the contaminated, mixed plastics that nobody else wants. It's not a silver bullet for all plastic, but it is a targeted, powerful solution for a huge part of the problem. And the environmental benefit is pretty compelling. Their analysis shows that the fuels they produce can slash greenhouse gas emissions by up to 75% compared to fuels made from newly drilled oil. How? Well, first, they're using waste that's already here, so they're avoiding all the emissions that come from exploration and drilling. And second, they're preventing that plastic from ending up in a landfill, where it would slowly break down and release methane, which is another really potent greenhouse gas. Which brings us to a really fascinating and critical question for the future. By turning plastic waste into something valuable, this technology creates a powerful economic reason to go out and clean up our environment. But is it the ultimate, perfect circular solution? Or is it a crucial bridge, a practical way to deal with the mountains of plastic we've already created while we all work toward a future where we just don't produce so much of it in the first place? That's the big idea to think about. Thanks for tuning in.